3 days before our wedding, Lila sold the house we'd spent 3 years building together. Her girlfriends lost it. You've got to be kidding me. You sold your house, your wedding house, because Brandon wants that new Ferrari? Does Ethan even know? Where the hell are you two gonna live after the honeymoon? Seriously, that place was Ethan's baby. He designed every inch of it. That house was his heart. Lila took a swig from her drink, completely unbothered. He loves me, she said with a lazy smile. Remember? He nearly died saving me. Spent months in recovery. You really think he's gonna care about a stupid house? She leaned back in her chair, tipsy and smug. Besides, he always says, home is wherever you are. Time to see if he meant it. I was standing just outside the private room, holding a thermos of chicken soup. I turned around and walked away without saying a word. The morning of the wedding, her calls came in like fire alarms. Ethan, where are you? My whole family's here, we're all waiting. I looked out the window at the familiar street below. I already got married, I said quietly. I went home. That house. From the very first sketch to the final coat of paint, it took me 3 years of sweat, detail, and dreaming. And yet, with just one offhand line from Brandon. God, I want that car. Lila turned our home into cash and bought him a Ferrari. I stood outside the door, hands trembling so hard I nearly dropped the soup. Even breathing hurt. Inside, her friend Zoe couldn't hold it in anymore. Lila, seriously? You didn't even tell Ethan? Selling a house isn't some casual decision. He's gonna come home and find it gone. What do you think he'll do? Thank you. Lila waved her off like she was swatting a fly. Oh my God, enough already. I'm not screwing him over or anything. Worst case, we just rent another place. Zoe's voice sharpened. But that wasn't just a place. He designed it, for your life together. It meant something. What you did, it's cruel. Lila rolled her eyes and downed the rest of her drink, clearly irritated now. If he finds out, he's just gonna blow up, ask a million questions, get all dramatic. I don't have time to coddle him. She slouched back, tossing her phone onto the table. Come on. The man worships the ground I walk on. He's not leaving me over this. That scar on his side? He got it saving me. Selling one house isn't gonna break him. The table erupted in playful teasing. I mean, I get it, Lila's just doing what any woman would do when a guy like Brandon wants something. He's a damn model, for God's sake. Who wouldn't lose their mind over him? Right? We all placed bets back in the day that Lila would end up with Brandon. Beauty and brains meets pure eye candy, match made in heaven. Lila's expression soured. Oh, for the love of God, can we not do this? If Ethan ever heard you guys say that, I'd never hear the end of it. He'll throw a fit, again. Just drop it. The group laughed even louder, riding the thrill of the drama. All right, we'll shut up. Right then, Lila's phone lit up on the table. Brandon. The room fell instantly silent, the air thick with innuendo. Speak of the devil. Lila didn't deny it. She smirked. She picked up the call, and Brandon's voice came through, smooth as silk, warm as a lover's breath. Lila. Did you really lock down the 800 horsepower beast for me? I heard those limited edition Ferraris are going for $6 million now. They are, she said, cool and composed. But it's paid for. They're delivering it to your garage this afternoon. A pause. Then his voice, drenched in awe. Jesus. That's insane. That's way too much. She chuckled softly. $6 million's nothing. If it makes you happy, it's worth every cent. He exhaled like a man who had just been kissed and fed grapes in a Roman villa. That's why you're Lila. You treat me like no one else ever has. As soon as I get that car, you're riding shotgun, top down, wind in your hair, Pacific Coast Highway. Lila laughed so hard her eyes crinkled shut. I'm counting down, she purred. The second she ended the call, her friends swarmed her like bees to honey. $6 million for a car? Lila, are you trying to make Brandon announce your relationship to the world with a key in his hand? Does Ethan even know what you just did? Lila casually grabbed another bottle of wine and popped the cork. Ethan and I are basically an old married couple. He's not into grand gestures. But Brandon, he's out there all alone, different city, no one to come home to. The least I can do is give him a little warmth. Outside that door, my chest went ice cold. Month after month, I deposited most of my paycheck directly into Lila's account, never questioned it. Every piece of furniture in our house? I hunted it down myself, driving across half the city to find something she might like. I still remember this one sofa. Italian leather. $2,000, marked down from $4,000. Lila took one look at the price tag and snapped. $2,000? For something you just sit on. The floor works fine. Eventually, she picked one herself. I watched her slap her card down with a sour expression. The receipt read, $1,888. So, she could be generous. Lavish, even. Just never with me. On the drive home, I rolled the windows all the way down. The wind hit hard, slapping my face, clawing at my skin like it wanted to peel something off. 3 years. I'd been a fool for 3 whole years. I still remember the night I told her I wanted to design our home with my own hands. She wrapped her arms around my neck, whispered, "I'd love that." And for a moment, just one painfully bright moment, I actually believed I meant something to her. That she saw me. She had to remember. There's no way she forgot. That night, when the knife came flying out of nowhere. I didn't even think. I stepped in front of her. The blade sank into me, just a centimeter from my heart. I spent 3 days in a coma. She stayed by my side the entire time, crying, swearing she'd love me forever. But she didn't mean it. Not really. Maybe to her, that scar wasn't a reminder of love, it was a permission slip. A reason to keep taking and taking, no matter the cost. The doctors warned me, stress could trigger the old injury, mess with the nerves around the wound. I tilted my head back, trying to swallow the burn in my throat, but my chest just tightened harder. Then my phone buzzed. It was Lila. Her voice blared through the speaker, drowned under pounding rock music. "Hey babe. Girls are throwing me a party tonight, don't wait up, okay? Get some rest." I paused. Just 2 seconds. All right. At 3 a.m., I was still wide awake, tangled in sweat and silence. I opened Instagram. Zoe had posted a fresh batch of photos. Caption, "Here's to my girl, one last night of freedom." Right in the center was the shot. Brandon, grinning like he'd just won something. Holding up a Ferrari key in the most casual, calculated way possible. And Lila, practically draped over him, laughing into his neck, her body molded to his like she belonged there. His other hand rested firmly on her waist, fingers spread with a kind of confidence that made my stomach turn. The comments were already flooding in. "Wait, is that a Ferrari key? Damn. Low-key obsessed. These two are fire. Girl, Lila, careful, Ethan's gonna see this." Lila jumped into the thread herself. "Ethan's not that petty. If he's gonna throw a fit over this, maybe we shouldn't be getting married at all." I shut off the phone, face blank. She knew exactly what she was doing. She always did. Just like she knew I wouldn't walk away. That I'd swallow the house sale. That I'd look the other way while she dropped $6 million on Brandon's dream car. That I'd believe her every time she said, "We're just friends." But this time, the place where the knife had once torn through me, felt numb. And for the first time in 3 years, I didn't want to forgive her. I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to stay. I just didn't want to take it anymore. I went to the hospital alone for my follow-up. Dr. Allen sighed the moment he saw me. "How many times do I have to tell you? Rainy days aggravate scar tissue. You can't be showing up here alone. You need someone to help stabilize the area and apply your medication on time." I gave him a half-smile, shrugging it off. "I'm a grown man. I can handle it." Not long after I stepped outside, the skies cracked open. A torrential downpour. I ducked into the nearest restaurant on the corner. As I was shaking the rain off my jacket, I turned my head, and froze. Brandon was there. Leaning across a table, grinning ear to ear, holding out a spoon like he was feeding a child. Lila leaned in without hesitation and took a bite of the cheesy corn he offered. Her laugh was soft. Familiar. Intimate. Right there on the table, gleaming like a trophy, was the distinctively shaped Ferrari key. And on Brandon's wrist, the same luxury watch Lila told me last week was a gift for an important client. I let out a quiet, bitter laugh. And walked back out into the rain. By the time I got home, I was soaked to the bone. Just finished showering, water still dripping from my hair, when Lila walked in. She froze. "What the hell happened to you? You look like a drowned rat." "I went to the hospital," I said simply. Her face stiffened. "For what?" I stared at her for a moment, then gave a short laugh. "I've told you this a dozen times." Lila sighed, annoyed, and brushed her damp hair back. "I've had a lot going on, okay? Besides, you're fine. Skipping one checkup won't kill you." I looked at her. Really looked at her. "The doctor said if I don't take care of it properly, it could flare up again." She blinked, caught off guard for a beat, then her expression sharpened. "Are we seriously doing this again?" she snapped. "God, are you really gonna use that scar as a weapon for the rest of your life?" So that's what it was to her. Not a reminder of love. Not a memory of sacrifice. Just a bargaining chip I kept waving in her face. I said nothing. That only lit the fuse. "Oh, don't give me that dead-eyed silence again." Lila snapped. "So I didn't go to the hospital with you, big deal. Do you have to make it a whole thing?" I glanced at the collar of her blouse. My voice came out calm. Too calm. "You've got some cheese on your shirt. Didn't wipe it all off." Her hand shot up instinctively, then froze. "You." I cut in, smooth as a knife. "Brandon's watch looks good on him." Her face went crimson. Not with embarrassment, anger. Pure rage. She pointed a shaking finger at me, eyes blazing. "Were you following me? Are you out of your mind, Ethan? Jesus. We were just having dinner and talking, what's so wrong with that? He's out there all alone, trying to make it on his own. No one has his back. God forbid someone shows him a little kindness." Her voice cracked, but not with guilt, with indignation. "Why are you always keeping score? What's the point of being so petty?" I let out a laugh. "Not cruel. Just tired. You know what's funny? I went to the hospital alone today. Again. Nobody seemed to think that was worth being kind about." Lila rolled her eyes and threw up her hands. "He's not you, okay? And don't act like I've never cared about you. I don't have to babysit you every time you sneeze." Before I could say another word, her phone buzzed. Again. "Brandon." She picked up so fast it was reflex. His voice came through the speaker, weak and whimpering. "Lila. I think I've got a fever. My head's spinning. I might have caught something from the rain. Lila's tone changed instantly. Sweet. Soft. Urgent. Stay in bed. I'm on my way. She ended the call and turned to leave without even glancing at me. At the door, she paused just long enough to throw one last barb over her shoulder. You should think about how you've been acting. And tomorrow, you're coming with me to pick out the wedding flowers. Oh, one more thing, she added, eyes cold. Quit with the stalking crap. It's pathetic. Seriously. And just like that, she was gone. But her words stayed, echoing in my ears like static. Pathetic? She was right. Not about the following, or the flowers. But about me. I let this go on far too long. Somewhere along the way, I went blind. To who she really was. To how far I'd fallen. To the fact that I stopped being a man in love, and became a man begging to be tolerated. On the way to the florist, the air inside the car felt like it was closing in. At a red light, I slipped on my headphones and turned to stare out the window. Beside me in the passenger seat, Lila was dabbing her face with an oversized pink puff, touching up her makeup like nothing had happened. The new condos on the south side are pretty nice, she said casually. Good location, decent schools nearby. She threw me a glance from the corner of her eye. When I didn't respond, she cleared her throat and spoke louder. I heard it's a brand new complex. Great amenities. A lot of younger couples are moving in. Maybe we should check it out? I didn't even open my eyes. Just let out a soft breath through my nose. Lila's voice sharpened, her patience cracking. Ethan, I'm talking to you. I opened my eyes slowly. I heard you, I said flatly. Then what? She deflated like a balloon stuck with a pin. Nothing. Just making conversation. A gust of wind blew through the half-open window, brushing against my face like cold clarity. I turned toward her, my voice low. Lila. About the house. I studied her profile, every micro-expression, every flicker in her eyes. This is your last chance. Is there anything you want to tell me? She didn't meet my gaze. Didn't flinch. Just kept looking straight ahead as if the traffic lights were the only thing that mattered. No. I mean, we went with your choice, right? Her tone was dry. Mechanical. Like she was reading lines off a page she didn't write. My hands curled slowly into fists in my lap. That was it. The final thread snapped. She still couldn't say one honest thing. Not even now. Not even when I'd laid the moment bare, handed her a clear shot at redemption. One sentence. That's all it would have taken. But she wouldn't even spare me that. I lowered my gaze. And just like that, my heart hit the floor. All this time, I thought I was fighting for love. Turns out, I'd been volunteering for slow, deliberate humiliation. Lila must have sensed the shift. She started twirling a strand of hair near her temple, one of her tells when she was nervous, and mumbled under her breath. He definitely knows. That attitude? He's icing me out. Whatever. I'll sweet-talk him after the wedding, it always works. We pulled up outside the flower shop. Right next door was the furniture showroom. I walked in without a word. There it was, our dining set. The one I'd picked out months ago. The one I'd been waiting on. Finished. Polished. Ready for a home. I stepped forward, about to finalize the payment, when a voice behind me made my skin crawl. Fake smooth. Calculated. Practiced. Well, if it isn't Lila. I thought you were coming with me today to pick out a chandelier. Brandon. Of course. I turned, jaw already tightening. He froze, then gave me a theatrical gasp, pressing a hand to his mouth like we were in some low-budget soap opera. "Oh. Ethan. Sorry, man. Didn't even see you there, my eyesight's been so bad lately." He winked at Lila like they were in on some private joke. "You two shopping for furniture? Great taste, this place has the best crystal lighting. Just ask Lila. She was saying last week she wanted to help me pick one for my new penthouse." My fingers curled into my palms, knuckles going white. So that was it. She'd already picked out his home. Already chosen the chandelier. Already imagined how the light would hit his walls, his floors. And me? I was still standing here like a goddamn fool, holding on to the shell of a house she sold behind my back. Waiting for an explanation she was never planning to give. Brandon picked up a glossy brochure from the display. "Ethan, check this out, it's imported from Italy. Would look amazing in an entryway, don't you think?" I waved it away before it could touch my hands. "No thanks. I've already made my choice. You two take your time." He blinked, thrown off, then twisted his face into a performance of wounded innocence. "Whoa, you don't want me here, do you? I mean, if I'm not welcome, I can just leave." Before he could take a step, Lila grabbed his wrist. "Why would you leave?" she snapped, then turned on me like a storm cloud ready to break. "Ethan, Brandon's going to be family. Can you please stop acting like this? Don't bring your attitude from outside into our home." I stared at her. "Family? Since when? I was supposedly the man of this house, and no one even asked if I'd like a new brother-in-law who grins like a game show host and eats cheese corn with my fiancé. Then again, why would she ask me anything? She sold the house without a word. Why stop there?" I let out a quiet breath and smiled, tired, dry. "Only someone like you would think this clown is worth keeping around." Brandon flinched, his fake charm cracking. "If you're leaving, just leave. Don't stand there whining like a kicked puppy." Silence. Both of them just stood there, mouths slightly open, like I'd spoken a language neither of them understood. "You, what the hell is wrong with you?" Lila finally spat. Brandon raised a hand. "It's fine. I'll go. I don't want to make things uncomfortable." I didn't stop him. Didn't care. I'd finally realized what kind of room I'd been standing in this whole time. Brandon huffed, red in the face, ready to storm out. But Lila clutched his hand tighter. "Ethan," she snapped, "we're getting married in days. Could you act like a grown-up for once?" I stared at her, hollowed out. "From the minute we got engaged, have you ever treated me like I mattered? And now you want to drag Brandon into this?" Brandon tugged at her arm, weakly trying to play the peacekeeper, even as his body leaned closer to hers. "Lila, don't. Just, let it go." But she didn't. She couldn't. She exploded. "No, I won't let it go. I'm done holding this in. Ethan, go ahead, keep being a martyr. Keep spiraling every time something doesn't go your way. Just don't come crying to me when that precious scar of yours splits open again. And don't say I didn't warn you." The store went dead silent. The sales associate lowered her head and started folding pamphlets, pretending she wasn't 3 feet from an emotional car crash. My heart dropped like a stone into freezing water. So that's what it was to her. The scar that nearly killed me? Just an attention-seeking tactic. A bargaining chip I pulled out to win sympathy. Not love. Not memory. Not proof of anything real. And still, some part of me had held on to the delusion that she remembered what she promised in that hospital room. That maybe, just maybe, the scar on my body mirrored something etched on hers too. But I was wrong. So painfully, completely wrong. How many nights had Brandon called saying he wasn't feeling great or couldn't sleep? And she dropped everything, no matter the hour, to run to him. And me? The night my wound got infected and I burned with fever so high I passed out on the kitchen floor. She was at the movies. Midnight screening. With Brandon. She texted me one line before disappearing into the dark. Drink more hot water. I'll come by after. She never did. And whenever I voiced even the smallest complaint, she'd sigh, rub her temples, and say, "Why are you always so dramatic? Brandon's out there all alone, no family, no one. He needs me." Apparently. I didn't. For our 3rd anniversary, Lila promised she'd come with me to the small town where we first met. I'd spent weeks planning the trip, routes, stops, surprises, holding on to the idea that maybe, just maybe, we still had something worth celebrating. But she forgot. Completely. "It's just an anniversary," she'd said, eyes on her phone. "We can do it another time, right?" But when it was Brandon's birthday? She'd started prepping 2 weeks in advance. Booked the most expensive rooftop restaurant in the city. Wrapped a limited edition designer gift. Posted it all online with a glowing caption. "Happy birthday to the most important man in my life. My handsome star." The memories collided with the present like waves over a drowning man. Each moment, her indifference, her forgetting, her redirection of love, stacked themselves like bricks on my chest. And suddenly, I was just tired. Tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. Maybe I should have let go long ago. I turned around and walked out, not bothering to say a word. Behind me, I heard Lila's soft, syrupy voice drifting after me. "He's probably just got some pre-wedding jitters. Don't take it personally, he'll be fine." How thoughtful. She even crafted my excuse for me. Through the glass window, I watched her lace her fingers through Brandon's. Smiling. Gentle. Guiding him toward a crystal chandelier with a price tag that could wipe out my savings. The image burned. So bright I couldn't look anymore. That night, Lila sent me a voice message. "Ethan, seriously, stop being dramatic. I'm out there every day, working through wind and rain, and when I come home, all I get is your cold shoulder. You know how exhausting that is. We're about to be a family. I need you to be more understanding, okay?" Her voice was slightly slurred, she'd clearly had something to drink. She kept mumbling afterward, half-formed thoughts, complaints trailing into nothing. I stopped listening. She was always the tired one. The one who needed patience. The one who deserved understanding. Fine, then. Let her be happy. I'd give her that. The night before the wedding, she finally called me, maybe the guilt caught up to her for a second. "Ethan," she said, voice tighter than usual, "you've got everything handled for tomorrow, right? The schedule, the paperwork, you're clear on all the details?" I answered while zipping the last suitcase shut. "Yeah. All clear." She exhaled, audible relief on the line. "Good, that's good." The next morning, I put on a crisp white shirt. Simple. Clean. Final. Downstairs, a car horn blared. My phone rang right after. Lila's voice came through, hurried and breathless. "Brandon needs a translator for something. I'm heading there to help. You just take a cab to City Hall, okay? It's just the marriage license, super quick. I'll meet you there after." I answered calmly. "All right." There was a pause. She must have heard something different in my tone. "You're not mad, are you?" "No," I said. "Go ahead." She hung up, then turned to Brandon in the passenger seat with a satisfied sigh. "All set. Let's get your stuff done first." Brandon looked sheepish. "Sorry, Lila. I'm really messing up your day." Lila reached over and gently tapped his cheek. "Idiot. What matters to you, matters more than anything. Somewhere in the back of her mind, a flicker of unease stirred. Ethan's calm had been unnatural. Too calm. Whatever, she told herself. He probably just needed time. He knows I care. He knows I picked him. After the wedding, I'll make it up to him. By the time Lila arrived at City Hall, with Brandon trailing behind her, sunglasses perched arrogantly on his nose, most of her family was already there. Everyone except Ethan. And his family. Not a single one of them. Her heels clicked a little faster across the pavement. Her chest tightened. No. No, he must have gotten lost. Or maybe he forgot the time. She tried not to panic. She pulled out her phone and called him. No answer. She called again. And again. And again. Each ring stretched longer than the last, until they sounded like echoes in a canyon. She clenched the fabric of her dress in both fists, twisting it tighter, her perfectly done nails digging into her palms. When the call finally connected, she didn't hold back. Ethan, where the hell are you? Everyone's here. My parents, my aunts, my nephews, everyone's waiting for you. There was a pause on the other end. She could hear faint sounds, traffic, maybe. Then Ethan's voice came through, quiet. Steady. I already got married. What? I went home. In the room, my favorite jazz record drifted softly through the air. Warm. Mellow. Familiar. Across the room, she was uncorking the champagne. The woman I was celebrating with. Not Lila. Lila's voice came screaming through the phone, disoriented. Where are you? I don't see you anywhere, where are you? I lifted the phone to the air, letting her listen. The low hum of jazz. The soft clinking of glass. And then. Pop. The unmistakable sound of champagne being opened. Her voice trembled. Are you in that house? The words came out like a choke. You're in the old house? Ethan, are you insane? That place is sold. It's not even ours anymore. I chuckled. Quietly. I know. It hit her like lightning. What the hell is that supposed to mean? You knew and went back anyway? Ethan, today was our wedding. If you're upset, fine, but this? You don't get to do this today. I let her spin. Let the silence hang a moment longer. Then I asked, softly. Did you ask me before you sold it? The line went dead quiet. She had no answer. Eventually, her voice came back, defensive, cracking. That place wasn't going to appreciate in value, Ethan. I was trying to trade up, for us. It was supposed to be a surprise. Why can't you ever see that I was doing it for you? I looked across the table at the woman pouring the champagne. She smiled at me. I smiled back. Your kind of love. I'll never understand. I'm starting over. There was nothing else to say. I hung up. Turned off the phone. Dropped it into the drawer with finality. The jazz kept playing. The cork rolled gently across the floor. And for the first time in a long time, I breathed. When Lila tried calling again, all she got was a cold, automated message. The number you are trying to reach has been powered off. Her heart seized. Like someone had reached inside her chest and clenched a fist around it. She couldn't breathe. New life? He said he's starting a new life? With who? And just like that, it hit her. This time, Ethan wasn't bluffing. He wasn't sulking, waiting to be chased. He was gone. Her parents walked over, puzzled. What's going on? Her father, Robert, asked. Where's Ethan? Lila stood frozen, eyes glassy, her voice caught somewhere between her throat and her pride. She couldn't get a single word out. Zoe, off to the side, let out a long, resigned sigh. I told you not to push him too far. You never listen. You sold the house without telling him. What did you think would happen? Now look, your groom just ghosted his own wedding. She paused, then added under her breath, a few days ago. I swear I saw Ethan at the real estate office. With another woman. Thought I imagined it. Guess not. Lila's parents stood there, stunned. Linda's hand flew to her mouth. Robert's fingers trembled as he pointed straight at his daughter. You, idiot. Go find him. Now. Before it's too late. Lila's face burned. Her eyes welled up. Her voice broke. She spun around, grabbed Brandon's arm like a lifeline. Brandon, come with me. Right now. We have to go find him. Brandon winced. Lila, ow. You're hurting me. He tried to pull back. Besides, what's the point? He's made up his mind. Lila shouted over him, unhinged. He's my husband. I can't just let him walk off with someone else. You're coming with me. You're going to tell him there's nothing between us. You're going to help me fix this. The woman standing beside me was the nurse who'd been changing my dressings for weeks now. She was 3 years older than me. Ethan, she said, her voice light. Do you remember me? I had just come out of a long coma. My brain still felt like it was moving through fog. We've met? She smiled, white teeth, no pressure. It's okay if you don't. We can start over. The first time she tended to my wound, I'd muttered something about how the antiseptic smell in hospitals always gave me a headache. The next day, she returned with a small mesh bag filled with oranges. You used to like the smell of orange peels back in school, she said, placing them gently on the nightstand. Guess some habits don't change. I looked up, startled. How do you know that? She just smiled, lips closed, mysterious. And then, like mist rolling back from a forgotten lake, the memories began to surface. High school. A girl from the class next door. Always in crisp white shirts, always quiet, always kind. Always walking just a little faster when she passed me in the hallway. Jenna. That was her name. I told her what I remembered, how she always seemed gentle, composed, like she was made of softer fabric than the rest of us. Jenna's eyes lit up. She looked down for a second, then back at me. That wasn't for everyone, she said softly. It was just for you. I still remember that day. Lila had bailed on me. Again. Because Brandon had another crisis. I stood in the hospital hallway, fists pounding against the wall, too angry to think. Too hurt to care. Until the sudden jolt of pain from my side nearly dropped me to the floor. Out of nowhere, Jenna appeared. She caught me before I collapsed. You know, she said gently, last time you pushed yourself this hard, it was over your final exam scores. I stared at her, stunned. How do you know all this? She looked away, ears turning slightly pink. Because I was there. And just like that, something shifted. She told me how she'd seen me that day back in high school, running laps alone on the track, burning myself out under the sun while pretending no one was watching. She'd stood at the window of the opposite building. Silent. Still. Watching over me the entire afternoon. All these years later, I realized. There had always been someone who noticed. Who cared quietly. Who kept me in their heart without ever asking for anything in return. To be held in someone's thoughts like that. To be treasured, without needing to earn it. It felt like something I didn't know I'd been starving for. I could feel her feelings now. The warmth. The quiet offering. But I couldn't accept it. Not yet. I'm getting married, I told her. I handed her the invitation. There was a flicker in her eyes, just a flicker. A tiny dimming of light. But she smiled anyway. Brave. Bright. Well, she said, voice steady, handsome. No matter what, I hope you find happiness. And if one day it all feels too heavy, just remember to look back. That night, I stood outside the club, Lila's words still echoing in my head, each one sharper than the last. And somehow, the first person I thought of was Jenna. I called her. The line was quiet. Too quiet. She must not have expected it, especially not this soon. Not after everything. There were a few seconds of silence. Heavy ones. The kind that make you doubt everything. I'm sorry, I said quickly. I shouldn't have called. It's late. Never mind. I'm going to buy the house back. I was already reaching to end the call when her voice came through the speaker. Soft. Warm. But laced with a smile that stopped my heart. I waited 10 years for you, she said. I'm not about to let it end with never mind. Stay right where you are. I'm coming to you. Jenna helped me bring that hollow, half-abandoned house back to life. She didn't just redecorate, she restored. Every detail. Every corner. She even built the bar I once absent-mindedly sketched on a napkin. It was all there now. Real. One afternoon, as sunlight poured across the floorboards, I realized. This wasn't the house I had lost. It was the home I never knew I could have. When the day finally came, and the priest looked at us and asked, "Do you?" Jenna reached for my hand. Her grip was steady. Sure. Her eyes never wavered. You once threw yourself in front of a blade for someone else, she whispered. For the rest of your life. Let me be the one who protects you. I couldn't hold back anymore. The tears fell. Not from pain. Not from regret. But from the quiet, overwhelming joy of finally being seen. Truly seen. And chosen. By the time Lila arrived outside the house, it was already the next morning. Jenna and I were just stepping out, grocery list in hand, car keys in mine. Lila came tearing across the pavement like a storm barely holding itself together. Eyes bloodshot. Hair wild. She looked like someone who'd been up all night rehearsing anger, and was now performing it with everything she had. She lunged forward and grabbed my wrist, fingers digging in like claws. Why? She shouted. So what if I sold the house? It was just a house. You're really leaving me because of that? I looked at her calmly, the way you look at a fire that's already burned itself out. Yes, I said. And, no. It was never just about the house. It was everything the house stood for. And everything she destroyed without a second thought. Lila's eyes darted to Jenna. Her voice cracked into something cruel. Who the hell is she? We were together for 3 years, Ethan. You don't get to throw that away and just pick up some random woman to rub in my face. I turned to her slowly. Steady. She's not random, I said. We've known each other for 10 years. That stopped her cold. She staggered back half a step, like the words had knocked the wind out of her. You, she stammered. So what, you've been sneaking around behind my back. Was this all just an affair? I laughed. Actually laughed. She never changed. Never once asked herself if she might have had something to do with the way things ended. It was always betrayal. Always blame. Always me doing something to her. You said Brandon needed someone, right? I said, voice still light, but razor sharp. Well, he's probably still waiting for you at the hotel. Wouldn't want him thinking you don't care. And just so we're clear. Next time he gets a fever in the middle of the night, I won't be the one carrying him to the hospital. Lila stood there, frozen in place, murmuring to herself like she was trying to rewrite reality in real time. This is still about Brandon, isn't it? You're mad. That's what this is. You're punishing me because of him. Her voice cracked into a pleading whine. I told you, he's just a friend. He's alone, Ethan. I was just trying to be kind. Why can't you ever trust me? I shook my head slowly. It's not about whether I trust you anymore. It's about the fact that I don't want to keep making you choose. So I stepped aside. I let you have your kindness. All of it. Because clearly, you never had any left for me. That made her flinch. Her mouth opened, then closed again. I didn't ask for this kind of sacrifice, she whispered. I don't want you to walk away. No, I said, what you want is for me to keep my mouth shut. To play blind. To believe your pretty little lies and thank you for them. But Lila, I stepped toward her now, voice low but firm, I'm a man. And the woman I marry? I need to be the only one in her eyes. In her heart. She tried to cut in, I didn't let her. Let's be honest. If I meant anything to you at all, you wouldn't have been out bar hopping all night with him on my birthday, posting pictures to Instagram while I sat at home waiting. You wouldn't have vanished the night my wound got infected, because he called, and suddenly that mattered more. You wouldn't have dragged me out of bed at 2 a.m. to take another man to the ER, knowing full well I had a flight at dawn. And when I missed it, when I lost that meeting, that deal, those hours. You blamed me. Said I wasn't efficient enough. Each word hit like stone. With every line, her face paled one more shade. By the time I stopped, she looked hollowed out. Like the weight of it all had finally caught up to her. She probably never imagined I'd been holding on to this much. The weight. The anger. The disappointment stacked over years of swallowing it down. She opened her mouth, scrambling to regain control, humiliation blooming into rage. Well then why didn't you say anything, she snapped. If you were this hurt, why didn't you tell me? I'm not a mind reader, Ethan. I let out a cold, bitter laugh. I did say something. I yelled. I begged. I fought for us. You just called it nagging. Told me to be the bigger person. Told me I was too emotional. Her face went pale, paper white. She had nothing. No defense. No spin left. I looked her in the eye. Do you remember how I got this scar? She hesitated. Eyes flicking to my side like she'd forgotten it was still there. You got it saving me, she said slowly. But what does that have to do with you running off with another woman? That did it. I exhaled a hollow breath and gave her one last, quiet smile. You really don't get it. You never remembered what you said while I was in that hospital bed. You never meant it. You never carried it. So don't pretend to be sorry now. We were done a long time ago. She stepped forward, desperate to respond, but the moment was already collapsing around her. Behind her, Brandon stumbled out of the cab, wearing nothing but a thin shirt, visibly shaking from the cold. He rubbed his arms and called out, shivering like a child. Lila, it's freezing. Lila turned, torn. But I was already done. Jenna and I stepped into the elevator without looking back. The doors slid shut between us and the past. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was running away. I felt like I was finally walking home. Lila stood motionless, staring at the closed elevator doors like they might open again if she just waited long enough. But they didn't. And somewhere in that cold silence, she finally remembered. Back when I met her, she was a wildfire, reckless, loud, addicted to adrenaline. The more dangerous it was, the more alive she felt. I used to beg her to be careful. She never listened. So I stopped trying to stop her. And started preparing instead. I kept a first aid kit packed and ready. Mapped out the safest exits. Memorized the numbers for local rescue teams whenever she dragged me somewhere new. 3 years ago, she and her friends got into an underground fight club. I tried to talk her out of it. It's not safe, I said. You're not just playing with fire, you're standing in it. She rolled her eyes and shoved me off. Oh, relax. It's just for fun. What's the worst that could happen? Halfway through the match, someone lost money, and their temper. A blade came out of nowhere. Lila ended up in a full-on scuffle with a guy twice her size. In the chaos, a knife lunged straight at her. I didn't think. Didn't hesitate. I shoved her out of the way, and took the hit. The knife went clean through my back. Later, the doctors said I was lucky to be alive. If it had gone 1 centimeter deeper, they told me, your spinal cord would have been severed. You'd never walk again. Lila sat by my hospital bed, shaking. She dropped to her knees, tears soaking into the floor. I'll take care of you forever, she sobbed. When you get better, we'll get married. I'll give you a home. Right here. She pulled out a city map and circled a spot with a red pen. This place. This is where we'll live. I looked once. Just once. And I never forgot that circle. In the beginning, Lila had really tried. She brewed soup every morning. Changed my dressings with careful hands. Stayed up late watching over me. But as the wound healed, slowly, stubbornly, it left behind a different kind of pain. A permanent one. On rainy days, it would flare up so badly I could barely breathe. That's when her patience began to wear thin. You're fine now, aren't you? She snapped one gray afternoon. Why does everything still have to revolve around your injury? Brandon's got stuff going on. He's overwhelmed. I have to be there for him. She stopped remembering my checkup days. Stopped asking how I was sleeping. Stopped noticing that I winced when I stood too quickly. I confronted her once, gently. She rolled her eyes. I said I'd marry you. What more do you want? It wasn't until now, standing outside a life she no longer belonged to, that Lila finally understood. The scar wasn't some romantic badge of honor. It wasn't a tool I used to guilt her. It was the proof that I had once been willing to die for her. That I'd given everything, without asking for anything in return. And after I survived, I worked like a man possessed. Overtime. Holidays. Weekends. Just to save enough for a house. Our house. In this city that never stopped moving, I had carved out a future for us. Brick by brick. With half a spine and a whole heart. A promise paid for in blood. On the ride back, Lila reached for the stereo. Adele's voice came through, soft and aching. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. She froze. It was Ethan's favorite song. She opened the glove compartment, and there it was. A worn piece of notebook paper, folded in half. Lyrics scribbled in Ethan's handwriting. He used to sing along under his breath, smiling out the window. Lila stared at it like it was radioactive. And then, finally, she broke. She curled into the passenger seat, buried her face in her arms, and sobbed. The kind of crying that shakes the body. The kind that only comes when there's no one left to hear it. I'm sorry, Ethan, she whispered, voice wrecked. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. But it was too late. The song kept playing. And the road behind her never stopped getting longer. Jenna and I had been holed up at home for 3 days. Rest. Peace. Quiet. The kind of quiet that feels earned. With the holiday winding down, we decided to take a trip, one last escape before the real world started again. What I didn't expect was to see her the moment we stepped outside. Lila. She came charging out from behind a hedge like she'd been lying in wait. Her eyes were bloodshot, hair unbrushed, face pale. She grabbed my arm in both hands, her grip trembling. "Ethan, wait. Please." Jenna stepped forward instantly, placing herself between us. "Let go of him." But Lila didn't move. "Just 5 minutes," she begged. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking." I gently pulled my arm free. Her hands clutched at nothing, and for a moment she looked like someone who'd forgotten how to stand. Then her knees buckled. She collapsed onto the front steps with a dull thud, right there on the cold pavement. "I was wrong," she cried. "The house. Brandon, you're back, all of it. Every single thing was my fault." Her hands shook as she fumbled through her coat pocket. She pulled out a small velvet box and opened it. Inside was the engagement ring. The one I'd saved months for. The one I'd once imagined slipping onto her finger while the whole city blurred behind us. "You said," she whispered, voice breaking, "that if I ever turned around, you'd be right there. Waiting." I looked down at the ring. It should have hit me like a punch to the chest. Instead, it felt like watching someone quote a line from a book I no longer cared to reread. "Do you remember what you said?" I asked quietly. "The day you accepted my proposal?" Lila blinked up at me, stunned. "I said I'd love you, only you. Always." I nodded. "And did you?" She didn't answer. Her tears began to fall, one after another, splashing onto the cement. "I was arrogant," she whispered. I thought you'd never leave." "No," I said flatly. "You assumed I needed you more than I respected myself. You assumed I'd forgive you forever. That no matter what you did, I'd just be there. Why? What made you so sure I couldn't live without you?" Lila pressed a hand to her mouth, sobbing. "I was stupid," she gasped. "I was such an idiot." I looked at her, really looked. Not with anger. Not with heartbreak. Just clarity. "Some mistakes," I said, "can't be fixed by saying sorry on your knees." Behind me, Jenna reached for my hand. And this time, I didn't look back. As I reached for the door, Jenna's hand in mine, a voice cut through the silence. "Ethan, wait." It was Linda. I had no idea where she'd come from. But there she was, Lila's mother, standing between me and the door, looking more tired than angry. "Lila, she's been selfish. I won't argue that. But after everything you two have been through, you can't just throw it away. She does love you, in her own way." I looked at her calmly. "Linda," I said, "do you honestly believe that if Brandon called her right now, she wouldn't stand up and walk away?" Linda froze. Her eyes drifted, almost involuntarily, toward her daughter. Lila's expression gave her away. She opened her mouth like she wanted to deny it, to scream no. But nothing came out. Not one word. I gave a small shake of my head. "That's not what love looks like. You know that." Linda looked down, ashamed, and stepped aside. As Jenna and I got into the car, Lila was still on her knees, motionless. Like a sculpture carved from regret. "Ethan." I didn't turn around. I didn't want to see the pleading in her eyes anymore. Didn't want to be dragged back into the weight of her what-ifs. I slid into the passenger seat and let Jenna drive us forward. The next day, a notification lit up my phone. Lila had posted something on Instagram. "One last visit to the fight club. Let's call it closure." She tagged me. I didn't respond. Below the post, Zoe had left a string of worried comments. "That place got shut down. What are you doing? You almost died there, remember? Lila, stop. You're scaring me. Lila replied with a single emoji. A half-smile that said, I know I'm being stupid. I just don't care anymore. I just want to gamble once, she wrote. If he still cares, he'll show up. Zoe didn't reply after that. No one did. Because deep down, everyone knew. That road? She'd chosen it herself. And this time, no one was coming to pull her back. Late that night, Lila returned to the place she once nearly lost her life. The abandoned underground fight club. The air was damp. The walls peeled with mold. Rusted chains creaked overhead like old ghosts whispering. She waited. And waited. But the phone never rang. Eventually, Zoe called her. Lila, go home, she said, voice tight with worry. He's not coming. You know he's not. Don't throw your life away over a man. He's not worth it. No one is. But Lila refused to move. She dialed my number. Her voice trembled. Ethan, you're really not going to stop me? There was no pain in me. Only clarity. You're an adult, Lila. You made choices. You live with them. But you used to. I used to love you, I said, cutting her off. Now I'm just tired. She fell silent. I could hear her breathing through the speaker, shallow, uneven, broken in a way no apology could fix. I ended the call. Some part of me hoped that would be the last time. Half an hour later, a message came through. A video. She'd gone in. The screen shook, grainy and dim, bathed in the yellow flicker of a dying light bulb. Her lips looked pale. Her voice wavered. Ethan, look. Last year, we were right here. Watching a match. She stumbled across the cracked cement, toward the rusted cage in the center. The camera bobbed wildly in her hand. Another video came through. Remember, she whispered. This is where you saved me. Suddenly. Harsh beams of flashlights cut through the dark. Shouts. Hey! You! Stay where you are. Then the screen went black. Her last message never finished sending. Just a bubble. Sending. Frozen in time. And then, nothing. My heart skipped, just once. Then settled again. Because some stories don't end in a blaze. Some just fade, until even the embers give up. Jenna's hand cupped my cheek gently, her thumb brushing across my skin. She didn't say much, she never needed to. Do you want to go check on her? She asked softly. The phone lay silent between us. No new messages. No missed calls. Most likely, she'd been arrested. I thought for a moment, then shook my head. No. Jenna raised an eyebrow, not judgmental, just curious. I figured you'd be tempted. You always had a soft spot. I exhaled through my nose, not quite laughing. Back then, when I got stabbed, laying there in the ER, she texted Brandon first to let him know she was okay. It took her 10 whole minutes before she thought to call my family. She has parents. Friends. People to look after her. She just doesn't get me anymore. The next morning, my phone rang again. Zoe. Her voice was low, tight with nerves. Lila's been arrested, she said. Some kind of altercation, resisting police. They're filing charges. She was screaming your name. All night. She wouldn't stop. She went off the rails because of you, Ethan. Can't you at least go see her? There it was. The guilt card. The emotional leash. The "it's still your fault" lie disguised as concern. I didn't flinch. No, I said evenly. Let it go. Don't call me again. It's better for all of us. There was a pause on the other end. Maybe shock. Maybe shame. Then a click. Line dead. In the visitation room, Brandon stood stiffly behind the glass. A clear barrier separated them, just thick enough to make the silence feel heavier than it needed to be. He clutched a paper bag with a change of clothes inside, arms awkwardly straight at his sides. He never once looked her in the eye. Lila sat on the other side, pale and thin, but still trying to smile. "Brandon, you came." He gave a tight nod. His gaze kept flicking down to his wristwatch. "I'm leaving for Canada next week," he said quickly. The smile froze on her lips. "Canada?" she repeated. "Since when?" Brandon blinked, then gave a soft, almost embarrassed shrug. "Tickets already booked," he said. "My girlfriend, she doesn't like me getting caught up in messy things." His voice didn't accuse. It didn't need to. It was just a fact. Simple. Final. Lila felt something sink inside her chest, slow, heavy, irreversible. She'd never figured out what Brandon was to her. Pity? Guilt? Something maternal, maybe. He always looked so lost, and she liked saving things that looked like strays. But Ethan had never looked lost. He was steady. Fierce. Capable. And maybe that's why she'd failed him the most. She thought he didn't need saving. Thought he could take pain like water and bleed like stone. She forgot he was human. She forgot the way he flinched when his scar tightened in the rain. She forgot the way he whispered her name in his sleep when the painkillers wore off. She forgot that even the strongest man falls when no one's there to catch him. He needed me too, she thought, the realization hitting her like glass shattering inward. He needed me, and I wasn't there. Her chest tightened. Her fingers curled into the edge of the bench. But it was too late. Brandon didn't offer a goodbye. He simply placed the bag in the tray and walked away, relieved. On the other side of the glass, Lila sat in silence. No more words. No more visitors. Only memory. Brandon exhaled softly, not meeting her eyes. "Lila, the lawyer said your case is serious. They're recommending prison time. Maybe years." He shifted in his seat, uncomfortable in his own skin. "I need a partner who can actually be there. Not someone sitting behind bars." He stood slowly, already turning toward the door. "But, we're still friends, right?" Lila stared at him. And in one sickening rush, the reel began to play. Selling the apartment without hesitation to buy him that Ferrari, $6 million, gone in a heartbeat. Ditching Ethan again and again to answer Brandon's late-night calls, his meaningless crises. Ignoring the man who took a knife for her, all for a boy who couldn't even look her in the eye now. "Ethan nearly died for me. And I gave everything to the one who couldn't even stay long enough to say goodbye properly." She looked down at the handcuffs on her wrists. The steel was cold against her skin, almost comforting in its finality. A sharp, broken smile twisted across her face. Poetic, isn't it? This is what karma looks like. Brandon's hand hesitated on the door. His voice was tight, almost hoarse. "Take care of yourself, Lila. Let's not do this again." Her eyes flared. "Get out." He paused. "Don't say that. I'll feel guilty." The paper cup on the table went flying, crashing against the floor, scattering water and cheap foam like shrapnel. "I said get out." The guard stepped in, startled, but Brandon was already gone, fleeing without a backward glance. And then, silence. The kind that fills a room long after someone has stopped breathing heavily. After all the sobs have been swallowed into bone. Lila slid to the ground. She buried her face in her arms. And finally, let go. Not of the past. Not of the men who left. But of the version of herself who had everything, and thought she deserved more. 2 years later. The county office was quiet that morning, just the hum of printers and the soft creak of waiting room chairs. I stood beside Jenna as she filled out the last line on the birth certificate form. Our newborn was asleep in her arms, pink-cheeked and dreaming. As we waited for the clerk to process the paperwork, I stepped outside for some air. That's when I saw her. Coming out of the gates of the state correctional facility across the street, a woman, thin, hair streaked with white, her steps unsure. Lila. Our eyes met, just for a second. She turned away, fast. Pulled her coat tighter. Walked off down the sidewalk like a shadow trying not to be seen. She didn't wave. I didn't call out. Some reunions aren't meant to happen. Some memories are best left untouched. I walked back in, just as the clerk handed over the printed certificate. I glanced down. There it was, our son's name. Brand new. Clean. A beginning. Jenna looped her arm around my neck, her smile brighter than the morning sun. We were a family now. Whole. Quietly complete. And somewhere behind us, a woman walked alone through the cold, knowing. The man who once would have given his life for her no longer looked her way. And never would again.